This video is going to cover the topic of solving equations from math stories. Be sure the date and topic are at the top of your page. The essential question to guide us on this video is how do we take real-world situations or math stories and find a solution algebraically? In previous work, we have talked about different terms that we might see or hear in math stories that help us decide whether we would represent the story with addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. We are not going to rewrite the list here, so be sure to look back at your work as a reference. Instead, we're just going to jump right into some examples in story form. Our first example reads, a gym membership costs $12 per month and requires a one-time fee of $50. If Kian spent $170 at the gym, for how many months was he a member? And we could solve this with guess and check, but we can more efficiently use an algebraic equation. I'm going to suggest that we use m for month as our variable. After all, we're trying to figure out how many months he was a member at this gym. And we know that he spent $12 for each month or per month. So however many months he went, we have to multiply that times 12. So that'll be our coefficient. We have $12 per month. In addition, there's a one-time fee of $50. So we need to add that on to what he's already paying. He's just paying that one time, so I'm just going to add $50 to his $12 a month. But we also know that he paid a specific amount. So this is an expression right now, but we can make it an equation by saying, oh, the total was $170. Now I have an equation that says 12m plus 50 equals 170, and we can solve. And I'm looking over here, and I know that the first thing that we did was that we multiplied by 12, and then we added 50. Right? I'm just kind of taking notes for myself. So that means to do the opposite, I have to do the opposite of adding 50 first. So I'll subtract 50, and then I have to divide by 12. So those are the things I'm going to take care of. So if I subtract 50 over here, I end up with 120. But to keep these balanced, I have to subtract 50 on the other side. Those cancel out, and I'm left with just 12m. So I know 12 of the months equals $120. Then I'm going to do my next step of dividing by 12. 120 divided by 12 is 10. But I have to do the same thing over here. And 12 divided by 12 leaves me just with 1m or m. So the number of months must have been 10. We always can check our work, right? That way we know right away if we're right by substituting. So I would do 12, and I'd substitute m with 10. And then I would add my 50, and it should equal 170 if I did it correctly. And lo and behold, 12 times 10 is 120. And if I do indeed add 50 to that, I do get 170. So I know my answer worked out. He was a member for 10 months. Let's try another one. In a race, Poki's time was 4 seconds more than twice Malia's time. We know that Poki's time was 40 seconds, and our job is to figure out how fast Malia was. I'm going to use m for Malia since we are trying to figure out her time, and we know that Poki's time is based on hers. So we know Poki's time was 4 seconds more than twice Malia's. So I'm going to start off by saying, well, we know he went twice Malia's time. He took twice as long as Malia. That's our times 2. But then it was 4 seconds more than that, so we have to add 4 seconds to that. And Poki's time was 40 seconds. So this is an equation that we can use to solve this. We'd have to do twice Malia's time plus 4 more seconds, and that would be equal to 40 seconds. And over on the side, I'm just going to kind of keep track of what we did first. We multiplied by 2 first, and then we added 4. So to do the opposite, I have to subtract 4 and then divide by 2. To get that m, that variable by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 4 from 40, which gets me 36. But if I do that on one side, if I want these to stay balanced, say equal, I have to do that on the other. Of course, those cancel each other out, and I'm left with just 2m. From there, we're going to divide by 2 on both sides, and that would get me 18 and just 1 M. So Malia's time must be 18 seconds. I can do a quick substitution to make sure. If I'm saying M is 18, then I'm going to replace M with 18 and make sure that these two sides do in fact have the same value. This makes 36, and if I add 4, that does indeed equal 40. So I know this works out. Malia's time must have been 18 seconds. What about this one? You can go ahead and try this one on your own. Unpause the video and we can compare how we did. This one reads that the height of the tree outside our classroom window is 7 feet less than twice the height of our building. The tree is 45 feet tall. How tall is the building? You can use B for building if you'd like, or whatever variable makes most sense to you. But go ahead and write down what you think the equation is that would represent this, and then see if you can solve and get a solution. Pause, and when you're ready, unpause the video and we'll see if we agree. How'd you do? I found that the building is 26 feet tall, and I can do a quick double check. Hopefully you checked your answer so you knew you were right without even waiting for me by setting this up and substituting in the answer you thought was right with your equation. I did, and so I am sure that my answer makes sense because the value of both sides of the equation is equal. This last one I want you to try to set up and solve and check on your own, and I'll check your answer in class. It reads that Zelda's mom gave her 50 chocolates to share with her friends. She gave 3 to each of her friends and still had 2 left over. To how many friends did she give chocolate? And I would suggest maybe using F as your variable to represent friends, but you can use whatever it is you'd like. But you're going to set up your equation, and then you're going to have a way to check it and a solution. And we'll check that together in class. And this might be tricky, but remember the essential question for the video was how to take real-world situations or math stories and solve them algebraically. So give this a try. Bring in any questions and concerns you might have. Bring your notes into class, and we'll make sure we practice and go over these more together.